Hey, welcome back. All right, so now it's time to read some data from the database. Now, before we can read from an actual database, let's try and just read some normal text. So I'm going to close the employees SQL file because we do not need that anymore. So what I want inside api.php is just some text to show us that we've made a connection. So here I'm just going to say, hey, we are connected, something like that. Just some basic text in there. That's in api.php. And then in my main JavaScript file, I want to be able to read from that side. Okay, so all I want is to immediately the file loads, it's going to read from api.php. So to do that, I will create some variables. So I'm going to say var, I'm going to call this variable Ajax, but you can use any name, is equal to new XML HTTP request. We've been over this stuff already, so hopefully you remember what I'm doing here. So first of all, we open the connection and then we do another ajax.send so we can send some data. And then we need to be able to receive some data. So I'm going to say ajax.add event listener. And then we are listening for the ready state change event. That's the event we are listening for. And I want us to have a function to handle the final result. So I'm just going to say handle underscore result will be the function. Now do not put those brackets like that. We're just passing this as reference and we're not trying to run the function itself. So it will be just like that, handle result. Okay, so once we are done with that, here I will just say we are sending it as post like that, and then the file we are sending to is api.php, and then of course we will put our true for asynchronous sending of data. All right, so this is all good, but let's create our function handle result here, function to handle the result. Handle result. And then we're going to pass in the actual result that was returned there. Oh, wait a minute. No, here we are going to... what will we pass in here actually? Interesting. I've actually never done it this way before. Okay, so let's leave it handle result at this point here. What I want to do is let me just run a function here. So I'll remove Jack. So I'm going to say function. Let's create an anonymous function like that. And then so these are the brackets for the function here, and then we'll create some space. And then this is where I want to put the handle result here. And then I want to return the Ajax dot response text like that. Okay. Because that is the result we want here. Okay, so I think this is a better situation. Okay. And then handle result here will just alert me to the result itself, like so. All right, so a little recap here. We create our Ajax object, then we listen in for a result, and then we open it, and then we make a connection. When everything comes back, it's going to run this function. The only problem here is we didn't create our if statements. This is why I decided to use this version of things. So Let's create an if statement to make sure that we only evoke the handle result function when everything is fine. So the status should be 200 and the ready state dot ready state, capital S there, ready state is equal to 4. So in a previous video I already explained what all this means. Alright, so this will run immediately I load my page, and the result I should get should be this text. If I don't get that, then something is wrong. So let's refresh the data. And what do you know? I get it. Hey, we're connected. So we managed to read from that other side. Now, I don't want it to read immediately we load the page. So let me put this inside a function, and I'm going to say function send data. We're just going to call it send data, this function. So it's going to be a general function we use when we want to connect to the other side. So you can name it, you can say function connect or something, or send data, because sometimes you're reading data from the other side. So maybe naming it send data is not really advisable, but it's entirely up to you. I'll just name it send data, and then I will put everything inside here, give it a tab like so. Okay, so this is how we'll send data. Now here I will put a variable called data to represent the data we send, and then here as well I will send that data. But instead of just sending it like that, I'm going to use json.stringify. I'm going to stringify that data before sending it. Okay, so that's about it. So I'm going to be assuming this is an object or an array of some kind, so I can stringify it and send it. But if it's empty, no worries. We're going to stringify it still. And then here I will put, I'll say it's equal to an empty string like that, so that in case we don't supply any value, it will still just send an empty string like that to avoid errors. So we'll do that. Okay, so I think that actually does it for this part. The only thing is now we need a way to evoke this function now that it's a function. So I'm going to say copy, go back to index.php. So if I come back here, I need it to load the data immediately I load the page. So even though we've set this to a function, the reason we've set it to a function is so we can repeatedly call it when we want to. So I'm going to say copy that, and then at the very end here, even right here at the top, I will run this like so, and I will not provide any data in there at all. Okay, so let's see this again. It should show me something. Okay, there we go. So it's still working. We haven't broken anything. Now, instead of alerting us to the result, we're just going to use console.log like that. Okay, that way we can silently get our results. Let me inspect here. Right click and click inspect, then the console is here. Now if I refresh my page, I'll see in the console, hey, we are connected. Now to remove this other error here, just to make sure you go to your HTML page and add some metadata there. Say meta, like that. Okay, let's go back, refresh, and we only get the result that we want. Okay, very good. Now let's see how we can populate this from the database side. Okay, let's do that in the next video.